Washington made history this month when voters agreed to legalize recreational marijuana.
A similar measure was approved in Colorado, too, a state that already heavily regulates medical marijuana. King 5's Joe Fryer traveled to Denver to take a look at their industry. And it is an industry, isn't it, Joe?
It definitely is. You know, both states approved medical marijuana many years ago. Washington has been hesitant to regulate the businesses and industry because the federal government still calls it a Schedule I drug. But in 2009, Colorado took a different direction, creating a medical marijuana industry unlike anywhere else in the country. In the city 1 mile above sea level, green crosses easily outnumber green Starbucks signs.
The marijuana definitely calms me down.
Denver now hosts more than 200 medical marijuana dispensaries.
It's bomb.
Selling everything from buds,
there's brownies,
to cannabis-infused snacks.
These are just pies, little mini pies.
Sales once reserved for dark alleys.
It's all top shelf, all good stuff.
Have shifted to places like River Rock, which looks more like a high-end boutique.
I started this business with $200 and an idea.
Attorney Norton Arbellis opened River Rock nearly 3 years ago.
This is a limited access area.
And quickly turned his $200 into this.
They're flowering, maturing.
Matt Cook, the state's first director of medical marijuana enforcement,
Well, there's not really anywhere to go.
helped write the state law that made these crowded grow rooms possible.
It is by far the most comprehensive regulatory scheme, from my standpoint, in the world.
As a former narcotics officer, Cook initially struggled with the idea of regulating a drug he once fought, even for medical uses.
Well, I will tell you, in 2009, when I was tasked with creating these rules, I didn't believe it, period.
But 5 months of intense meetings between police and growers led to compromise.
This ensures 100% accountability.
For starters, they agreed every plant must wear a barcode so it's monitored from seed to sale.
And everything, 100% of what happens through the life of this process is on video.
In fact, growers are forced to invest tens of thousands of dollars in video equipment.
And the cameras see everything.
From the entryway to the grow rooms, they monitor every pot plant.
It's a web-based system that ultimately regulatory authorities could access at will. They could be watching us right now.
And it works with the barcodes.
River Rock even went a step further.
I sign in with my fingerprint.
This is how employees must log into the system that keeps records of the plants. State regulators can access it too.
This is the sort of transparency which really makes Colorado stand apart.
Yeah.
For licensed patients like Kurt Sampson,
Leg spasms are a big thing for me.
this openness is a welcome change.
This is obviously a lot safer than trying to make a backdoor deal on the street, that's for sure.
The medical marijuana industry continues to grow in Colorado, with regulated sales this year alone expected to reach $200 million. And dispensaries say the Green Rush's economic boost doesn't stop there. River Rock alone now employs 65 people,
Clean up all these bottoms.
including horticulturists with master's degrees who make up to $100,000 a year.
So there's your temperature.
Even the power bill to keep the grass
And
growing
then 1,200 parts per million.
generates a $22,000 bill each month.
XL Energy is doing quite well as a result of regulated medical cannabis in the state of Colorado.
But you'll still find critics who point to one major problem.
It's a violation of law. I don't know how you can do that.
Marijuana opponent Tom Gorman works with law enforcement to fight drug trafficking
This is our Hong Kong diesel.
and doesn't understand how the state can license people to break federal laws.
You cannot have state employees or city employees or county employees aiding and abetting a criminal enterprise, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Those federal fears have kept Washington from regulating medical marijuana.
I think Colorado's really been the model.
But Denver attorney Brian Vicente says strong state rules are keeping the feds away.
So I would encourage Washington leaders to lead and not to wait for the federal government to tell them how to do things in their state.
With oversight, Colorado dispensaries think other states can also experience success. That's Rocky Mountain High.
We've had 2.5 years of operation. The sky hasn't fallen.
To be clear, that is the medical marijuana industry in Colorado. Like Washington, Colorado isn't sure what will happen next with recreational marijuana. Both states are currently talking with the federal government, but we can tell you some Colorado businesses are looking to expand, and we'll take you inside some of those places tonight at 11.
Two states, Washington and Colorado, made history this month by voting in favor of recreational marijuana. It's unclear what will happen next, but some believe Colorado might be in a better position to handle it. That's because that state already has strict regulations for medical marijuana. New at 11, King 5's Joe Fryer traveled to Denver, where the industry is booming.
Of all the bakeries in Denver, Colorado,
I actually love this job.
Lexi Yurkovsky never imagined this is where she'd end up after earning her bachelor's degree in culinary nutrition.
Oh no, definitely not. Thought I'd be working in restaurants or something like that.
She's the baker at Dixie Elixirs.
These are Dixie rolls.
Making Tootsie Roll-like treats that feature an unlikely herb.
So it's not too far away from just cooking. It's more just infusing the product that we have.
Whether smoked or eaten or used in something like cannabis-infused bath salts, patients feel marijuana can treat pain and other problems.
Found my home here at Dixie.
Employee Charles Nottingham has a state-issued red card for his epilepsy.
When it gets bad, I'm barely able to communicate.
He claims marijuana works better than anticonvulsant drugs.
It is the only medicine I use.
His employer has become a leader in marijuana-laced edibles and other products.
This is a pain relief salve that we make.
This is a sparkling red currant Dixie Elixir.
One of their best sellers is a drink.
Premium infused sparkling beverage.
For most patients, half a bottle is more than enough. If you drank it all at once,
you'd have a long and wonderful afternoon.
Dixie Elixirs credits much of its success to location.
Colorado's absolutely the place to be right now.
State oversight of medical marijuana began nearly 3 years ago, but before that, businesses were unregulated.
These are all different strains.
Back then, Steve Horowitz opened Ganja Gourmet, which started as a restaurant.
And they ordered medicated pizza, and they had free medicated tapenade, which was really good.
But the city quickly banned on-site consumption, and state oversight soon followed, thanks in part to Matt Cook.
Every plant that you see in here has been accounted for.
The former narcotics officer helped write Colorado's strict regulations.
This is one of the barcodes.
Rules that force growers to document every plant from seed to sale.
And everything, 100% of what happens through the life of this process is on video.
From cameras to electricity,
so there's your temperature,
to heating and cooling.
And 1,200 parts per million CO2.
The high cost of getting into this business weeds out a lot of people, especially when you consider banks won't finance places that violate federal law.
You're coming in with your own money. I mean, you're looking at a $500,000 to $1 million investment to get one of these shops going now.
Kayvon Kalitbari co-owns Denver Relief. Like all Colorado dispensaries, they're required to grow at least 70% of what they sell, putting emphasis on quality.
Not opposed to either.
Denver Relief strains even won Colorado's prestigious Harvest Cup.
It becomes about competition. It becomes about free market. It's not just like the underground market, you get what you get. You know, that's not medicine.
The state is now home to more than 500 dispensaries owned by so-called ganjapreneurs or cannapreneurs. Green crosses light up Denver's South Broadway, which earned the nicknames Broadsterdam and Reefer Row. To many, the state system is a good foundation for voter-approved recreational marijuana, though not every dispensary plans to jump in.
We're going to choose to say medical because we do have 400 patients, 500 patients that rely on what we do here, and we don't want to put ourselves at risk and their medicine supply risk.
But Dixie Elixirs sees an opening.
Could we now see you guys in Washington State?
Yes, absolutely.
Which means more bakers could end up like Lexi Yurkovsky.
I think it's great.
By jumping into a job they never saw coming. In Denver, Joe Fryer, King 5 News.